Hi everyone, welcome back to Healthier with Elizabeth, and this is part 2 of exploring the crystal essences range at Vintage Health. So in part 1 I spoke to the basics of what crystal essences are, told you about where they come from, how you might take them. Today I want to speak to the why and also which ones. But really, I wanted to have an episode in this series devoted entirely to the why, because as I sort of progress in my career, as I work with more and more clients, I'm just finding that so many people's health issues come back to an imbalance within the emotional or spiritual or psychological realm. So this is where I employ the crystal essences to really hone in and start transforming that from the get-go. So I've been working with crystal essences since 2017. If you want more information about the journey that led me to this therapy, then you're welcome to visit my website. There's a page devoted to the essences. I'm going to say obsessed, but I'm just that sort of happy with them as a therapy and as part of the service that I can offer. But yeah, the why, what started out as me sort of just experimenting and I mean, to give you context, I've been trained in flower essences. So that's a cousin to the crystal essences. They're all vibrational medicine. They all work very similarly. I've been trained in the West Australian living essences. So they're a kit of about 88 desert essences that are specific to Western Australia. And I've also been trained in the bark flowers, which is 34 odd essences from memory. Sorry, it's been a while since I've used the flower essences because I've just completely switched over to the crystal essences. They're working so well for me and my clients. But the bark flowers, probably arguably the most famous of the vibrational essences out there. You might have heard of Rescue Remedy. People use it for stress and emergencies. So that came from a kit of flowers that was developed by Dr. Bark in England, memory serves, 100 years ago now. So those are cousins of the crystal essences. But really, yeah, the why comes down to, I can fix you up physically. You can come in, I've got the naturopathy, I've got the Chinese medicine, I will put you on the massage table, balance your chi, we can look at your diet, we can put you on some herbs, we can really clean you up and have you feeling fabulous, get your energy back, all that sort of stuff. But there are more and more cases that I'm seeing, and maybe this has always been like this, or maybe it's just the type of client I'm attracting, or maybe this is sort of the reason that you even come to listen to this podcast, is that unless we address what may be underpinning that physical imbalance, a piece of the journey that led you to where you are right now, where it has you come looking for someone like me to help you, then, and that will often be something in the emotional realm, a fixed way of being or reacting, a decision you might have made in a time where you were in a crisis, you were in survival mode, you might have been a kid, and just sort of having to navigate certain people within your world and how to sort of survive them. I'm saying air quotes because I'm just sort of saying how to get through. You might have made these decisions and that was protecting you back then, but actually what's happening is in the subconscious you're still operating from that place of needing to survive, from that decision that you made back then. But it may not be serving you anymore, or it may have you in a state of imbalance, hypervigilance or stress or paranoia or something. I'm just giving examples. But that then has an impact on you physically. So we can go in and clean up the physical, but unless we go back and we go and we address this some imbalance that's going on in the emotional or psychological or spiritual terrain, start to address that, then you will likely end up back where you were in terms of your physical state. So this is where the crystal essences are really beautiful, because they work on the subconscious level. You don't have to be running a subconscious program to use them. You can be very aware of what's going on. Might show up as like you're constantly attracting the same kind of problematic person into your world, or you're recurringly triggered by the same kind of person or situation in your life, and you're just interested in, okay, this is having me stressed. And then, you know what? I don't sleep so well, and I've kind of always got this knot in my stomach, and, you know, and then we can start to unpack the, I guess, the emotional underpinnings to physical imbalances. And this would be health conditions. In Chinese medicine, we'll be looking at where you will be out of balance from a Chinese perspective. In naturopathy, we'll be looking at that as well. So it all kind of ties together. And I really, just want to drum it home that we, working on this level is very much, it's so important, but also it is the why for me and the crystal essences, because this is where I have had some amazing results for people and their health, because we've started to understand that the occurrence of your physical state probably wasn't the precipice. It wasn't the start of it. The start of it was 6 months earlier when that stressful occurrence happened, or, you know, even earlier than that. So it might make more sense to you when you listen to the next episodes, because when we start to go through the vintage health pre-made blends, and there are 13 of those, and then there's a spray as well. But when we start to look at the different themes that they cover, it might make more sense, or, you know, the other shoe will drop in terms of what I'm saying, because there'll be specific examples as to some of these underpinning emotional and mental sort of decisions, fixed ways of being, states that are impacting you and your physical health. So yeah, that is very much my why, and I'm so excited to be able to bring this therapy to more people, because since I've been working with them in 2017, I'm going to say 8 out of 10 of my clients would have experienced a crystal essence. And where it seems to come up, because it is, I'll be honest, it's one of the more woo-woo offerings that I have. I've got some clients that this is just not their cup of tea, and that's fine. But where and so as a result, when I'm meeting someone new and they're coming in, and we're having a consultation, I have to sort of figure out if they're a person that might be open to this therapy or not. But where it becomes blaringly obvious is when they're coming in and telling me about these physical conditions, the issues that they're dealing with that they want help with. And then we start to explore what's going on in their lives, what their stress levels are like, what their relationships are like with other people. Do they feel supported? Do they feel trust? Do they feel like they've got a work-life balance? Do they give too much of themselves? Do they put themselves first? Do they only give 50%? Because actually being in balance is when you are 50% selfless and 50% selfish. And, you know, but a lot of people, that's a foreign concept. We're told to give of ourselves, give everything, give 110% and put ourselves last. And it's quite damaging, but that can be, that attitude, walking around like that, giving too much of yourself, can be very much underpinning certain physical complaints, exhaustion, not sleeping properly, adrenal burnout, digestive complaints, even hormonal imbalances can all be part of this state of walking around and, for example, not putting yourself first, or not being in balance when it comes to how much you give away of yourself. That's probably a better way to go. So a better way to describe it. And then, you know, you will see when you listen to the next few episodes, there's an essence in the Vintage Health range called Appropriate Boundaries. And that's actually directly dealing with people-pleasing tendencies, people that have grown up thinking they have to be the perfect, you know, partner and parent, and then child to their elderly parents and work colleague, and where do they fit on the list? So that I've just sort of drummed down one to give you a bit of an example, but please go and listen to the subsequent episodes that I've got coming up, because those are really going to drill down for you which ones, or what the issues are that are being dealt with, and therefore further illustrate my why as to how this is so important. I really firmly believe that if you are taking on your health and well-being, you will get so far by balancing your nutrition and getting yourself to sleep properly and all this sort of stuff, balancing the hormones. But if we don't start looking the emotional terrain and from a health and wellness perspective, then you're just going to be out of whack again at some point physically. So so that's really the why. And then the which one. So there's two offerings that I have with the crystal essences. One is the pre-made blends, so those ones you'll hear more about. And then the other one is what I call CYOC, so choose your own crystal essence system. So, and this one is a personalized essence service that very much comes out of the philosophy of the crystal essences at Vintage Health, which is your intuition. So you might be sitting here going, oh my gosh, which one do I choose? Or how do you know? You know, and if you listen to the previous episode, I said that I've got about 250 different crystals that I work with, crystal essences. It's not up to me what you end up choosing if you go with a personalized blend, because the process is all about having your intuition choose the medicine that you need. So it's a really, really nice system. And at some point I will put up some episodes in this Healthier with Elizabeth series that will walk you through the process. But the nuts and bolts of the CYOC is that, you think about what it is you want to transform. Start to kind of put yourself in the state of the problem, I guess. So you could be sitting in the uncomfortable feelings, the grief, the sadness, the kind of anger, the frustration, or you might be able to flip that script and go, okay, I actually know where I need to be. I want to feel safe. I want to feel trust. I want to have joy in my life. I want to appreciate what's around me. So you might sit in either of those states. Either one will work. And then you go and you view the crystals. So if you're in person seeing me, then the crystals are all laid out on several different trays, and you just go along and you have a look. But the online service that I will be coming up with and releasing in 2026 not coming up with, I've already started. It's an intuitive process where you're looking at each of the crystals as a picture. So, but you can go through and you're going to still do the same thing where you don't need to know what the crystal does. You just need to know how it makes you feel. And that is your intuition kicking in and going, okay, this one actually has what we need. Let's put it in the list. And you choosing about 7, sometimes 8, but mostly just 7 crystals, 7 different essences. And then that is your personalized blend. And then that gets an empowering name that you also choose, because that's really part of it. You're going to take these personalized essences for 4 to 6 weeks. And that is about you drumming down and dealing with that specific issue. So that's the personalized side of it. And then there's the pre-made blend. So I call them the Global Essence Range, Vintage Health Global Essence Range. And that is because they are tackling, like I've said, human sort of conditions that, or human emotions that I have recurringly seen in my family, friends, my clients, and then just observed in the world. So those formulas were intuited by me, sort of in a surrogate situation where I sat with, you know, for appropriate boundaries, for example, I sat with that feeling of being a doormat, of giving too much of myself, of being exhausted, but also wanting to please, wanting to do the right thing, step way out of myself to give to someone else, but it left me not empowered, it left me tired and exhausted. I sat with that, and then I did the choosing of the blend for that one. So it was really this sort of intuition with the global consciousness, I guess. So that was the choosing, that was the process behind the pre-made blends. So it wasn't for me, it was for that energy signature. I hope that makes sense. And yes, I'm very aware that sounds super woo-woo. If you've got any questions, let me know. That's also how we roll here now. We combine the science and the woo-woo because, you know, why not? Why not take from all these different types of therapies and live the best life that you can? So yeah, what's nice though is with the pre-made blends, you can read about them, you can understand them from the way they've been created. But I've also, when you go to the website and you go to the shop and you look at the essence, for example, appropriate boundaries, when you flick through the pictures, there's actually a picture of all the crystals that are in that blend. You can use those pictures to intuit which of the global essences, the pre-made blends, is the one for you. What's nice about the pre-mades is because they're not tailored to you, they are tailored to an issue that you might be dealing with for a while there. You can switch those out every 24 hours. You know, for example, I'm on holding space at the moment. I'm dealing with a couple of things in my life. I've been taking holding space for the last 3 days. I'm coming to the end, I think, of dealing with the issue that I wanted to take on. And then I might put that down and I'll see tomorrow. I'll go and look at my bottles and go, you know what? I'm attracted to total love today. I think I just want to get in touch with the signature of that essence. So, you know, and that's the nice thing about having the range is that you can just use them when you need. There's one there called Powerhouse. Powerhouse is your cheerleader in a bottle. It's the confidence booster. If I have to go and deal with a situation where I just want to be standing in my full power, Powerhouse will be the one that I take that day. So, yeah, you know, that's the nice way to go with those. But with the choose your own, I recommend that you don't take any other vibrational medicine essences. So no other flower essences, none of the other vintage health essences. You go with your personalized blend for 4 to 6 weeks because we are really drumming down on you and a specific issue for you. And we're kind of unpeeling the onion layers and we don't want anything else to muddy that. It'll be too much stimulation. You've got your 7 crystals in your empowering blend and that's what you're taking in your water throughout the day. So yeah, now that's really the witch in terms of, and that's a segue into the next 3 episodes, which are going through all of the pre-made blends. And then there's a little bit at the end that just sort of speaks to the CYOC system a little bit more. So anyway, I think I've covered everything. So if there's any questions though, you know where to reach me. Find me at the website. You can find me on my socials at Vintage Health. But otherwise, look forward to speaking to you soon. And yes, stay tuned so you can listen about each of the pre-made blends. And then yes, I'm so excited to be able to bring CYOC to the global world where it's a much more automated process. You get to meet all the different crystals and I get to make up the pre-made, the personalized blends for you, post them out to you, and then the transformation begins. So stay tuned. All right. Have a good day. Bye.